Meltdowns are, first of all, very different from a tantrum. So I think that's one of the first things that we should all take time to realize. There's a difference between a meltdown and a tantrum. So when a student is having a meltdown, it is a response to the external stimuli. So internally, they feel extremely overwhelmed. So they're at the point of, I can't contain this anymore. I need to have a behavioral release. And that could come in many forms, where maybe they throw themselves down on the floor and they scream. Sometimes they start to hurt themselves, they scratch themselves, or they lash out at other people. And meltdowns can take generally a longer time for the child to settle. So a great way to distinguish between the two is if a child begins to display a certain type of behavior, like what was just explained, and because they didn't get what they wanted and you give it to them, if the child settles down after, you know that's a tantrum. But if you give them what they want and the behavior continues over a prolonged period of time, you know that's a meltdown. So one of the best things that teachers can do is to let the child be. Let them be for a while. Let them release the emotion that they're feeling. And of course, you check in every once in a while. You don't always have to leave them alone, but give them the space to be. And then go to them, talk to them in a soft voice. Because shouting at them or shouting over them for them to hear you is like fighting fire with fire. So once you go to them and you talk to them when it seems like they're a little bit calmer, then you can have a conversation. You can say what's happening, what's the problem, what are you screaming for, and things like that. It's important to get them to a safe space. If you can't get them to a safe space, you can ask everybody to please give you the room so they can have the room for themselves. A great way for teachers to be mindful, especially with autistic children who are prone to have meltdowns at times, you need to focus on the ABCs of behavior. So A being antecedent, so what happens before the behavior. This would take a lot of observation. You have to observe, which means writing down anything that happens before the behavior comes to pass. The next one is the behavior. So you look at the behavior, and the antecedent really helps you to understand the trigger. And then the C is the consequence, where it be taking them to a safe space, or if they destroyed something, you take that away from them so they don't destroy it further or bring destruction to themselves. So you really remove anything that could really endanger the child. And a lot of the time you get to understand the child further so you can avoid having meltdowns when you remove the triggers that may occur when a meltdown happens. So teachers must be mindful of that, a lot of observation. It takes a lot of trial and error because, of course, you have to learn what consequence works best. And I think a lot of the times people get confused when we say consequence. They think, we mean to hit the child or put them in a timeout. It's not necessarily, we don't necessarily go to that end or that extreme. There are times when timeouts have to be introduced, but hitting a child is never okay, especially when they're on the brink of a meltdown. They are trying to make sense of everything that's going on with them and think about when you are overwhelmed, how you feel. So it's always important to look at the ABCs of the behavior so that way you can help to curb the meltdowns as they come. And with that, you tend to see a decrease in meltdowns over time.